Professor Murray, you concluded your testimony, both your written version and the oral form, by saying that you, quote, call on this committee to protect these associated rights in a manner that is swift and absolute. That was your last word, absolute. And I understand, of course, these associated rights, you're speaking about several, but certainly the right to abortion. Do you mean by that there should be no limits on it whatsoever, that it should be available until birth?
What I meant in my written testimony, Representative, and many thanks for the question, is that fundamental rights should not be left to the democratic process. These are fundamental rights that each individual has, and they should be protected as they were under the Constitution.
Do you mean that they are absolute? My colleagues, when we were discussing the Second Amendment the other week, reminded me often that no constitutional right is absolute, a point that I readily concede. Do you concede that there can be limits on the right to abortion?
It is not a concession to say that there is no fundamental right that is unfettered. I teach that to my students every day in my constitutional law class. The Second Amendment rights are not unfettered. They can be subject to government regulation, or at least they could until quite recently. All fundamental rights are subject to some limitations. But I asked for this committee to respond in a manner that was swift and absolute. I meant in terms of their commitment to protecting the rights of every person in the United States to enjoy these fundamental freedoms and not have their most intimate decisions made by the government.
Do you support the Women's Health Protection Act that is pending? That's what it's called by its sponsors. You've heard it referred to today, and I imagine you're familiar with it, that would allow abortion until the moment of birth?
Representative, I think that's a mischaracterization of the Women's Health Protective Act. I'm supportive of any measure that this chamber takes to assure the rights of individuals to be free in this country and to enjoy the equality that is promised to us under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. And I'm happy to elaborate if you'd like.
Well, let me clear away then, if you said it's a mischaracterization of the bill, I don't think it is.